Ladies, this is why you should always be cautious while driving alone at nighttime. If you ever find yourself in a situation where a car is following you or making every single turn that you make, do not, and I repeat, do not drive home. And this is why. So I started talking to this one guy through this online dating app. Yes, I know the dangers, baby. I was desperate. I was taking my chances regardless. We decided to go on a date, and that would be the first time that I would ever see him in person. Never FaceTime before this, and he looked exactly how he did in his pictures. The way I was ready to with his fine self. Point is, he looked scrumptious. Anyways, y'all get it. Y'all get the point. Well, I was already at the restaurant we were supposed to meet up at, and I was waiting for him. We had a really good time, but it was time for me to go to bed because I was getting tired. Mind you, I didn't see his car when he pulled up. He just walked in. But anyways, I start to drive home. Well, 15 minutes into the drive, I kind of noticed that there's a car behind me that has taken every single turn that I have taken since I left the restaurant. So I start taking random turns to see if the car would still follow me, and it did. Well, eventually, I stopped to park in a random driveway. At first, that same car passes by me, but then it turns right back around, parks behind my car. Part 2 of why ladies should always be cautious while driving alone at nighttime. And if a random car starts following you, to never drive home. So like I said, I noticed this random car following me, so I didn't drive home. I parked into some random driveway, and the same car that was following me drove right past me. I waited a little bit to see if I was in the clear, and I see that same car driving right back towards my direction. That's when I duck. I basically try to make it seem like I went inside, even though it's not really my house. Well, he ends up parking right behind my car, and he gets out of his car. At this point, I was terrified, but at least I was in my car so I could run him over if need be. And thankfully, I have tinted windows, so when he walked past my car, he didn't see me because I was ducking. I didn't really get to see his face or what he was wearing. He basically looked like a black figure. Like I said, it was really dark outside. Whoever's house I was didn't keep their front porch lights on. Thankfully. Then maybe he would have seen me. Well, he gets to the front porch. That's when I immediately get up, turn my car back on, and drive home. Well, the next morning I was woken up by someone ringing my doorbell. Look outside and I see the same car from last night parked in my driveway. Part 3 of why ladies should always be cautious while driving alone at nighttime. Like I said, I was able to get away from whoever was following my car last night. Well, the next morning someone was ringing my doorbell, so I woke up. I look outside my window because my bedroom window is right at the front of my house. And I see the same car that was following me last night parked in my driveway. I didn't know what to do at this point, but I thought that I should at least try to see what he looks like. So I go to my door and I look through that little peephole. When I say I almost passed away, it is not an exaggeration. It was my date from last night. I swing open my door and I'm like, motherfucker, how did you find me? I didn't give you my address. I straight up confront him. I'm not playing around. I said, were you following me last night? He goes, oh, I just forgot to get your number. At the moment I was thinking he could be telling the truth because we did only talk through that online dating app. We never exchanged numbers. So I went ahead and gave him my number and didn't think much of it. That was a big mistake. The next day I woke up to 200 missed calls and 50 texts from him. For part 4. Part 4 of why ladies should be cautious while driving home alone at nighttime. So my date shows up to my house, aka the dude that was following me last night, and says that he was following me because he never got to get my number. Low-key believed him because we never did exchange numbers. I kinda thought it was a little cute. He would follow me just to get my number. At the time, I wasn't really thinking that he could have just texted me on the dating app for my number. But yeah, I should have never gave him my number. Because when I woke up the next day, I had 200 missed calls and 50 texts from him. So I start reading the texts, and it was not an emergency. It was actually a nightmare. Text read something along the lines of, text me back right now, where the hell are you? I need you. Call me back or I swear to God. Well, I didn't even bother replying. But as the day went on, he kept texting me and he kept calling me. The texts turned into threats. I was thinking about just blocking him. Then I remembered since he followed me and I drove home, he knew my address. Part 5 of why ladies should always be cautious while driving alone at night. Like I said, I gave my date my phone number. Then the next morning, I woke up to a bunch of spam texts and calls from him. Basically just saying things like, call me back right now, I need you, text me back. And then his text started getting worse. They started saying things like, if you don't text me back, I'm gonna kill you. I was thinking about blocking him, but I didn't want to make him mad because he knew where I lived. I show his messages and all his calls to my girlfriend. They just tell me to go to the police. One of my really good friends came over and took me to the police station because she didn't want me leaving my house by myself. Well, when we got there, they told us that they couldn't even do anything because he hadn't committed a crime yet. And that the threats that he sent me just weren't enough to make a case. Well, I did end up blocking him. I blocked his number and I blocked him on the online dating site. Basically moved in with my friend. It's been like a week now and I haven't really went home. My girlfriends and family are now helping me find a new place to stay. If there's any advice that anyone wants to give me, please leave it in the comments. This is why you shouldn't let just anybody around your kids. Wear a mask while you watch this story time. I promise you're gonna want to. So when I was around 15 years old, I started doing really bad in school. My parents were really poor and my dream was to go to college, so I needed to work my ass off so I could get a scholarship. But with how my grades were looking, it did not seem like I was gonna get one. My school offered after school tutoring classes, so I started taking them. Just in case I didn't get that scholarship, my parents started working late hours so they could pay for my college. They also hired a part-time babysitter / housekeeper. Mind you, my parents worked all day until super late at night. Our job was to arrive after we all left to clean up the messes that we didn't have time to clean up in the morning or the night before. Then she was supposed to pick me up from my tutoring classes, stay at the house and watch me until my bedtime, which was about 9 p.m. Then she was supposed to leave. But one day we were sitting at the kitchen table eating breakfast and we all catch a drift of this terrible smell. My dad finds out that the smell is coming from the basement. As soon as he opened the door, the smell just hit you in the face. We all go down there to check where the smell's coming from. We see a pile of human feces. Laying next to it is my babysitter. Part 2 of why you should never let just anybody around your kids. So we go to check out the smell in the basement, and there my babysitter is, laying next to a pile of her own shit. My parents wake her up and everyone's covering their mouth and nose with our shirt. I'll go upstairs because the smell. I let my parents deal with that shit. Literally. I hear my dad yelling at her and telling her to get out. She explains that she used to be a full-time nanny and she has nowhere else to go because they kicked her out. If she was shitting on the floor, who the fuck wouldn't kick her out? She says she did that because she gets really bad anxiety at night and can't go upstairs or we would hear her and wake up. Because you have anxiety does not give you the right to shit on the floor. I have anxiety. Do you see me shitting on the floor? So my parents kick her out anyways, like any reasonable person would. And we thought that was the last that we were gonna see of her. But one night at like 2 a.m. in the morning, I hear a tapping on my window. So I wake up and there's my babysitter staring at me through my window. She looks sad and she like motions for me to let her in. I'm looking at her like, the fuck no? And so that sadness quickly turns to anger and she starts banging on my window. Part 3 of why you shouldn't let just anybody around your kids. Like I said, there my stalker ass babysitter is banging on my window at 2 a.m. in the morning. And so I quickly go to get my parents because what if she breaks that shit and breaks in? Once I leave my room, I hear the banging stop, but I still go to tell my parents what just happened. My dad calls the police and they check around the area and she's nowhere to be found. The smell goes away, we don't see her anymore, so we think everything's good now. But one day my mom texts me and tells me that she left me a tray of cookies on the dining table for when I get back from tutoring. Well, I didn't see any cookies or a tray. When my mom gets home, she wakes me up and asks me where I put the tray. I told her that I didn't even see the tray of cookies. So my mom tries looking for the tray because she needs it for when she cooks. She never finds it. Mind you, my family like never goes to our basement. But one day my dad needs some tools to help fix his buddy's car. He also notices that the tray we were looking for is in the basement. We're all freaked out at this point because our babysitter was secretly living in our house. Now things are going missing and being misplaced. And after looking around for any suspicion that she might have been there again, we notice a broken lock in the window of our basement. Part 4 of why you shouldn't let just anybody around your kids. So after putting 2 and 2 together and realizing that my babysitter had been sneaking into our house through our basement window, and also noticing that things have been going missing, we call the police and report her because it was just so obviously her. She did not do a good job at all at covering her tracks. When the police look her up, they say she has no criminal record and that she's not enlisted in any housing. So she was homeless. So my parents go ahead and fix the lock on our basement window. I'm guessing once she found out that she couldn't get in anymore, she stopped trying. So afterwards, my parents stopped working as much and I got a friend to start dropping me off at home after my tutoring classes. Once I would get home, I would do all the cleaning just to help my parents out so then they could keep working their long hours so I could go to college. My parents were kind of iffy about leaving me at home by myself. Child, I could fight. So everything was good and we never saw her again.